Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
Ah, that's the life of being a Saints fan. Snip snap. In the first half of the Saints and Dolphins game, the Saints offense put up some of the worst offense I've ever seen in my life, totaling for about 63 total yards in the first half. I thought I was watching the Ian Book Dolphins game from back in 2021 all over again. At one point, the Saints had more 3-and-outs than they had first downs going into the second quarter. When the Saints finally got a first down, I was like, okay, the Saints are starting to get something going. Maybe they can get into a momentum. Then this sequence of plays back-to-back perfectly portrays the Saints. One play, Talishuk gets strip sacked because Vele, yes, our wide receiver, was in blocking on a passing play at tight end, left tackle, or whatever the hell. Let a free blitzer come in and force a strip sack on Talishuk. You may be asking why Vele was in blocking on a passing play at left tackle. I couldn't answer that for you. That's a question you have to direct to offensive-minded genius Kellen Moore. Although it doesn't feel like he's much of a genius. It kind of feels like he's just there for good vibes and to stand on the sideline going like this the entire game. One play later, Kool-Aid Mckinstry got a huge interception off of Tua, covering Jaylen Waddle. Snip snap.
Snip, snap.
One good play and one bad play. That is the story of the Saints. The Saints offense before halftime though did get something going. It looked like they were going to score some points before halftime and then get the ball back. Snip.
Snip.
Only for a few plays later for Talishuk to throw an interception. Snap.
Snap.
Snip snap.
Snip, snap.
That interception led the Dolphins to a field goal before halftime. 3 points the Saints could have used at the end of the game instead of the Dolphins if Shuck did not throw that interception. Now, do I think Talishuk played a bad game? No. Do I think he played a great game? No. For my full evaluation, you gotta make it to the end of the video.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
Coming out of the second half though, the Saints started to do some good things, had an opening drive touchdown where Talishuk started to get Vele involved, who had himself a career day. Then he found Olave for a nice touchdown and then ran it in for a 2-point conversion. Snip.
Snips.
Then there was no snap for a while. The Saints kicked a 56-yard field goal with Charlie Smith in his first regular season game and first regular season kick. With pretty rough weather conditions and high pressure situation to keep the game within reach, Charlie Smith nailed a 56-yard field goal with ease. It looked like it could have been good from 70 yards. Kool-Aid Mckinstry came up big once again with the TFL on 4th and 1. Then Talishuk found Vele for a huge touchdown. It looked like the snip and snap was over, and then it snapped. Talishuk threw a pick 2. Yeah, a pick 2, not a pick 6. Threw a pick 2 to the Miami Dolphins on a 2-point conversion, which costed the Saints a chance to kick a field goal after recovering an onside kick. That's 5 points the Dolphins got off of Talishuk interceptions. 5 points that changed this entire game at the end. Then this onside kick, whether it was past 10 yards or not, was a snip-snap moment within itself.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snips.
Was he past 10 yards? That doesn't really matter, because the Saints wouldn't do anything with that anyway. Snip, recover the fumble, snap, didn't do anything with it. Even after the Saints started moving the football, Olave dropped a potential touchdown. Talishuk missed Olave on 3rd and short, and Kellen Moore called one of the most obvious and horrible plays of the game, a QB sneak on 4th and 1 with the game on the line. When they needed 1 yard, what did they do? They ran a QB sneak and didn't get it. That's their go-to play when they need 1 yard. A QB sneak that doesn't work. A tale of two halves with continuous moments going snip and snap. Hey, that rhymed, kind of.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snips. You have no idea the physical toll the 3 vasectomies have on a person.
No, you don't have any idea the emotional toll being a Saints fan has on someone. Thanks for tuning into this video. Please make sure to like the video and subscribe. Help support me and the channel grow. Help us reach our goals. 20k subscribers is our goal for 2026. Now let's get an early jump on that. And with all that being said, I'm Kaj. Welcome to the Kaj Football Channel, the best place for casual fans like you and I to talk football. And let's dive into the Saints and Dolphins recap. Another week, another loss for the Saints, who now dropped to 2-10 on the season, losing to the Miami Dolphins, who improved now to 5-7, winning 4 of their last 5 games. The Saints now join the Titans, Giants, and Cardinals, among other teams, to be eliminated from playoff contention this season. This was shocking news to me. Don't worry, guys, we'll get it next season. Aside from the Saints missing the playoffs for the 5th straight season, going on to the game recap, the first half between the Saints and the Dolphins was rough. It was a rough one. It was a rough watch. Did I say that it was a rough one? In case you didn't know, it was a rough one. Not exactly a whole lot to talk about regarding the Saints offense in the first half. Defensively, I thought they played a pretty good game outside of a terrible opening drive against the Miami Dolphins offense, in which Alontae Taylor just whiffed and didn't even give any effort on a touchdown run from Devon achane. Alontae Taylor showed the same amount of effort as a YouTube ad button, non-existent, and also the same amount of effort as this JV freshman playing on varsity. Don't exactly know what happened there, but basically the same thing. Outside of that opening drive though, I think the Saints defense had another solid game. Cam Jordan having 2 sacks on the day puts him at 128 career sacks, tying former Saints Hall of Famer Ricky Jackson for 17th all time. Cameron Jordan has solidified himself, I believe, as a Hall of Famer who now has 6.5 sacks on the season. Chase Young had another good game. He had himself a sack. Brian Brzee, who's been kind of quiet, he had a sack against the Dolphins. And Danny Stutzman had this big hit on Devon achane, slamming him on the ground, showing why he is the cracker with the juice. As for the Miami Dolphins, maybe the Saints defense looked good because Tua Tagovailoa didn't play the best game. He had a lot of off-target throws, passes too high, too low, behind guys, drop passes. The Dolphins offense really wasn't that good outside of Devon achane running the football, and I honestly don't know why they didn't just keep giving it to him every damn play. What's crazy to me is Mike McDaniel, who a lot of Dolphins fans want fired and think is dog shit. His offense and his team looked like they had an identity, and he knew what he was doing compared to the offense Kellen was calling and has been calling this entire season. The Saints defense overall, I thought as a unit played good throughout the entire game outside of a few things here and there. As for the offense didn't show up for half of the game, and you could thank Kellen for that one. Offensively, the Saints started the game off with 3 straight 3-and-outs before finally getting their first down of the game in the second quarter with a run to running back Evan Hull. Who is Evan Hull, you may asking? I got no idea, but he got the Saints' first down of the game. Only for a few plays later for Tyler Shough to be strip sacked by a defender who Devaughn Vele, yes, the wide receiver, our wide receiver was supposed to block on this play, let run through as a free blitzer and get the strip sack on Tyler Shough. Why Devaughn Vele was in pass protection on a passing play as a wide receiver, I don't know. That being said though, he should have done a better job blocking. That being said, he's a wide receiver and he shouldn't have to be blocking on a passing play. Kellen Moore. I will say this though. Once Kellen started putting Devaughn Vele at wide receiver instead of left tackle, Devaughn Vele started to have a lot of production and had himself the best game of his season and possibly of his career. But we'll dive into Devaughn Vele's day in just a moment. After that strip sack though, Kool-Aid McKinstry the next play got an interception off of Tua, which helped the Saints momentum and helped the Saints offense get back onto the field, only for them to go 3-and-out. The Saints' first 5 drives of the game was 4 3-and-outs and a strip sack with only 1 first down with 6 minutes left in the first half. Then the Saints offense started to do some stuff, move the football with 6 minutes during their final drive of the first half. It wasn't pretty, but it was slow and steady, and it was moving the football and winning the race. The Saints had more yards on this drive alone compared to the other 5 drives combined. That just tells you how shitty of an offensive performance it was in the first half. Then the Saints got into the red zone. Dead man's land for this team. RIP, the Saints red zone offense. Once the Saints started getting something going and looked like they were about to score before halftime at a bare minimum a field goal and then get the ball back in the second half, Tyler Shough threw a horrible interception. An interception that the DB read the entire way. He was waiting for it. And it looked like it was an option route for Chris Olave. It looked like Olave was trying to sit between the 2 defenders while Tyler Shough was trying to throw Olave on a route leading him outside. That led to an interception and the Dolphins got 3 points off of this turnover. What stings about this play is that Tyler Shough, the play before, had a possible big play or a touchdown to Chris Olave or Devaughn Vele, but it ended up being incomplete. Had he found a way to get the ball to one of those 2 guys, they likely would have been able to score a touchdown and not have thrown an interception the next play. How different this game could have been if that interception wasn't thrown. The Dolphins getting a field goal out of this and going up 16-0 before halftime was lucky. The Saints were lucky this game was 16-0 at halftime and not 31-0.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Coming out of the second half though, the Saints started to get going. Their opening drive in the second half, they got the running game going to a degree, and they started getting Devaughn Vele involved, who had himself a career day. He was the player of the game for the Saints. All of his production came in the second half, catching 8 passes for 93 yards and 1 touchdown. Good to see another wide receiver getting involved, because outside of Chris Olave, there really hasn't been a lot of production from these wide receivers. A lot of it, though, does have to do, of course, with Shaheed getting traded and Brandon Cooks being released. The guys who are now at wide receiver for this team have not gotten a lot of playing time. But Vele just had himself a huge game, and now we're starting to see why the Saints made this trade for him back in August. We saw him have some production last week versus the Falcons, and he just had himself a big and huge game today versus the Dolphins. This incredible catch from Vele on this opening drive to start the second half is what set up a Chris Olave touchdown from Tyler Shuck and a 2-point conversion run from Tyler Shuck to make it a one-score game, 16-8. This opening drive to start the second half had more yards than the Saints' entire first half offense for the Saints. But the biggest reason why the Saints got points on this drive was because of a false start from left guard Dillon Radunz. Without this false start from Dillon Radunz, the Saints lose 25 yards on a high snap from Luke Fortner, who apparently has forgotten how to snap a football over the past 2 weeks. If Dillon Radunz does not commit a false start before that high snap, the Saints lose 25 yards and likely do not score a touchdown that drive. The best false start in NFL history without a doubt. And throughout the second half, the Saints defense continued to do their job. Only allowed a field goal in the second half before the Saints offense put up another point again, in which Charlie Smith, in his first NFL game, elevated to the active roster as the starting kicker after Blake Grupe got released. Charlie Smith nailed a 56-yard kick, while all of his buddies and family and everyone in Ireland went crazy. And the fact he made a 56-yard field goal in these weather conditions and this pressure situation, having to make this field goal to keep the game within 1 score, he made it. Long ass kick, Charlie Smith made it, and he's definitely earned himself another opportunity to kick next week. And then the defense once again came up clutch on 4th down with McKinstry drinking the Kool-Aid, getting a huge tackle for a loss on 4th down and making another impact play after his interception earlier in the game off of Tua. McKinstry had a huge impact on this game and gave the Saints offense an opportunity to tie the game up. Tyler Shuck, with 3 minutes left, got the Saints downfield with connections to Vele, who else, and as well as Chris Olave, which led him to an amazing connection to Vele, and honestly, I thought he was chucking this shit away, throwing it out of bounds, and Vele was able to catch it and get 2 feet down in bounds. The Saints were a 2-point conversion away from tying this game after being down 16-0 at halftime, and then Tyler Shuck threw a pick 2 after a false start from Talise Fuaga. This pick 2 was critical in this game. 5 points the Dolphins got off of Tyler Shuck's interceptions in this game. 5 points that swing the game in the Dolphins' favor over the Saints. The final score was 21-17. You take away those 5 points from Miami, the Saints win 17-16. Only if Tyler Shuck does not throw any interceptions or turn the ball over in this game. Am I blaming him for this loss? No, but his mistakes were critical in this one. And even with all of this, the Saints still had a chance to win the game after Charlie Smith kicked an awesome onside kick. You Irish lucky man, and Vele, who else recovered an onside kick? Whether it crossed 10 yards or not doesn't really matter, because I'm a Saints fan and I'm biased, but also it didn't matter because the Saints did nothing with this onside kick recovery. Tyler Shuck threw a deep ball to Chris Olave, which he should have caught, went right through his hands, and had he caught this, the Saints would have likely scored a touchdown and possibly won the game. Honestly, had we put in Doug Nussmeier, the Saints offensive coordinator at receiver, maybe he would have caught this pass instead of Chris Olave. 3rd and 1, Tyler Shuck missed Chris Olave on an out route, and that costed them big. And then on 4th and 1, Kellen Moore decides to call the most obvious QB sneak ever on a play that they had to have. They run a QB sneak and they couldn't get it, ending the game. I don't understand the play calling from Kellen Moore. You don't run the QB sneak on 4th and 1. You run the QB sneak on 2nd or 3rd and 1. And then if you don't get it, then you throw the football on 4th and 1. You don't wait to run the run play until 4th down. You run that earlier to give yourself an opportunity to know what you need to do. And let's not forget the Saints had 1 timeout left. They could have used that timeout beforehand so Kellen Moore could get the right play in, and still it did not matter. Kellen Moore's play calling this season has been sus, without a doubt. Does he have great players? No, but he's supposed to be an offensive-minded coach. He is an offensive-minded coach. He's calling the plays. His offense should not be averaging like 13 points a game. It should be a lot better than it currently is. And we need to start looking at him and wondering why his offense is having such a hard time running the football, getting first downs, and getting one singular yard. Why can't his offense get 1 yard? His play calling has been stale, vanilla, and honestly some of the same play calling over and over again. His play calling needs to improve. That's supposed to be what he does best, and it honestly feels like it's something that's holding the team back. The part that hurts the most though is had Talishuk not thrown the pick 2, had he simply just gotten sacked, or had it just simply been an incomplete pass, the Saints still get the onside kick. The Saints were lined up at the 36-yard line of the Dolphins on that 4th down, so they could have potentially kicked a field goal to take the lead over the Dolphins had the pick 2 not taken place. Snip snap, a game of simple mistakes and the Saints shooting themselves in the foot. The verdict on Talishuk obviously is a tale of two halves. In the first half, he did not play well in my opinion. He looked uncomfortable in the pocket throughout the game in my opinion. There are some throws that he missed and some throws that he shouldn't have thrown, like the interception. Although I do think Talishuk had himself a much better second half, an excellent 4th quarter, and he did what he needed to do in that 4th quarter to win the Saints the game. You can look at play calling and everything else as drop passes as to why the Saints did win this game, but I thought Talishuk had a rough 2.5 quarters and was able to bring it back in the 4th quarter and show why the Saints drafted him. He showed the tools, he has the size, he was able to run the football, he had 240 passing yards on the day, took 4 sacks. He wasn't perfect, but he did enough to win. But his mistakes is what costed the Saints the game as well. We still have like 5 games left to determine what the Saints should do at quarterback, but right now the Saints losing to the Dolphins puts him at 2-10, and with the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, Fernando Mendoza takes on Ohio State next week, and that's going to be a very important one to watch. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Please make sure to like the video and subscribe. Help support the channel. I'm Kaj. I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace.